go. 10:30. Right on time. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, Jimmy. This is the weekend of Juneteenth, a time that has captured the imagination of the country. Shabbat Shalom, Stacy Kramer. I see you. An important moment to remember, not with pride, not with joy, but with shame. There was a time, there's been a time, there continues to be a time in human history when some people feel that they are more privileged than others, and the ultimate betrayal of our purpose here, that some people would actually believe that they could own other human beings and buy and sell them as property. So we are in this time when people around this country and really around the world are changing the paradigm, are hoping to change a paradigm. So I lost Jim. He's going to sing us into our Shabbat service. He's going to get his guitar. There we go. We decided to be outside this morning. Such a beautiful morning to continue this gift of time, this celebration of Shabbat, with prayer, with community. Shabbat Shalom, Bobby. With some learning. The portion this week is Shalach Lecha. I was ready to skip to next week's portion, but we're still in that portion with the spies going off into the land who aren't able to see that there would be a way for us all to live together in peace. You know, in their minds, they're still thinking war. In their minds, they're still thinking conquering. They're not thinking how people can live together in peace. So let's bring ourselves back into Shabbat with the words of Matovu. Sound good? When the prophet Bilam, I'm going to put the dogs inside. You sing. Deliveries outside. Come on, girls. Come on.
Hey! Huh? Yeah.
All right, you stay there. I'm just sitting right over there.
Okay, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm on top of the world, my friend.
That's good to
Top
hear.
of the world. Here, let me sit down. I got to stand still. All right. am. Go follow the name.
Thank you. You too. You should open it, Susie. עליך יקום משכנותיך ישראל בידידים Here's where that melody comes from. It's an old Yiddish song. Agishrei unegevadu nagebilde a Vater in Wald du für seine Kinder. Ibedi da 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 da. I la 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 la. Yeah 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 da 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 da. La 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 la. Yeah 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 yeah. La la la. Ooh, it's a mystical song, so we give the chorus 3 times. Most of these mystical songs, repetitions of 3. Hine Matov. I sing an interesting one nobody knows. Hine Matov, Umanayim, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Shever Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Umanayim, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Shever Achim Gam Yachad. Hine, Hine Matov, Hine, Hine Matov, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Shever Achim Gam Yachad. Hine, Hine Matov, Hine, Hine Matov, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Shever Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov, Umanayim, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Hine Matov, Umanayim, Shever Achim Gam Yachad. Gam Yachad. Gam
As difficult as it is not to be together in person, how wonderful. I can see we have someone from Jews for Black Lives in California, Donna, joining us. How wonderful. I'm glad you're with us. And, you know, we in St. Louis have never stopped. For the past 6 years since the uprising in Ferguson, we have kept the protests going in one way or another. And these protests, I think, will continue to grow and continue to to keep going until we really do change the paradigm. That's what it's all about. It's about finally leaving Egypt, leaving that narrow place, leaving Pharaoh behind, leaving that great divider, Pharaoh, who tried to use his power to make us and them. And instead, we have this service that kind of, you want to offer, how about a hallelujah? Page 56, if you have the prayer book. Good to praise what is good. That's what Shabbat gives us the breath to do. Praise what is good. Praise what we have to be grateful for in the midst of the brokenness, in the midst of our shame, in the midst of knowing what we can do better. We also praise what is good.
If our mouths could sing like the sea, and our lips express like the wind, if our hands reach for us like the eagles of heaven, and our feet were swift as deer, if our mouths could express like the sea, like the sea, like the sky, like the throne underneath the ground, if our mouths could express like the sea, hallelujah. I said hallelujah. I mean it, I'm talking to you. Hallelujah. You know what I'm saying when I say hallelujah. Hallelujah, Bekocho. Hallelujah, Berkiauzo. Hallelujah, Bigavurota. Hallelujah, Kerogudo. Hallelujah, 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 Betika shofar, hallelujah, Nebebechino, hallelujah, Ba'ud, hallelujah, Ba'ud, with strings, hallelujah, Betofu Macho, with drums and dancing, hallelujah, Minim Ba'ugav, hallelujah, pipes and flutes and drums and dance, hallelujah, B'tziltzalei Shama, hallelujah, B'tziltzalei Teruach, Kol HaNeshama, Hallelujah. Let everything that breathes thank and praise God. Let everything that breathes thank and praise God. Hallelujah, 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 if our mouth could sing like the waves and our lips express like the sun, sea, and the sky, our arms stretched forth like the eagles of heaven, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Baruch hu et Adonai Mevorach. Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam. Haren in the Torah תורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחיד אהבינו באהבה וליראה את שמך ולא נעבוד ולא נתעלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד והאב עינינו בתורתך ודבק עינינו במצוותיך וליחיד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך.
Shema, listen. We have been listening. One of the wonderful offerings of some of the Jews of color of CRC has been to make some videos. And I know that Rabbi Randy showed the first video from Yahid last night during services. Yahid, who grew up at CRC, told us he is a young black Jewish person who has been living in a black skin and telling us what that's like. And he says when people see him, they don't see who he really is, but we do, because we've known him his whole life. And so we need to remember that. We need to remember that there's nothing more important than relationship. And when you are in relationship, perhaps the most important thing we do is Shema, is listen. So this is the prayer that God calls out to us with. Shema Yisrael, listen, 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 you God wrestlers, you think you know what I am and what I'm not. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. All of the plurality of godliness, all of the unity of godliness, everything you imagine that I am and I'm not is Echad, it is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושופך ובקומך ושרתם לעוד על ידך, והיו לצוצפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. In every service, we remember that moment of promise, that moment when we left that narrow place and we entered into the sea and we marched for freedom, as we continue to do. with the words that Moses and Miriam, the people of Israel, sang at the shores of the sea.
Jam it, Susie.
Right.
מחמוך באלים אדוני, מחמוך דר בקודש, נראתי לו אוסף אלי שירה חדשה, שבחוגלים לשמחה שפתיה, יחד 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 כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. אוהב צור ישראל ומה בעזרת ישראל ופדחנו ממך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני כעם ישראל. And Miriam, the prophetess, Nivia, she took a drum in her hand, and we all followed her with drums and dancing, and Miriam chanted with us. Shirule Adonai ki ga'oga, Shirule Adonai ki ga'oga, Shirule Adonai ki ga'oga, Shirule Adonai ki ga'oga. Sus verochvo rama vayam, Sus verochvo rama vayam, Shiru Adonai ki ga'oga, Shiru Adonai ki ga'oga. Adonai sefata tiftach ufi yagid hilatecha. Oh God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Sefata tiftach ופי יגיד תהילתך, תהילתך. Your praises, if my mouth could sing like the waves. Adonai Sefatai, Tiftach open, Tiftach open. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu V'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel Elohei Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora Elyon גומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע great are you רב להושיע great are you to save us מחלקי חיים בחסד Michaye Hako gives life to everything. Rachamim Rabim with great rachmonas. Somech Novlim Verofei Cholim and healing of the sick and lifting up those who are ill. Umagir Asurim, freeing those who are shut in, shut out, shut in, shut out. Umikaye Memunato Lishenei Afa, and even those who sleep in the dust on top of the grates on the streets of the cities. Micha Mocha Baal גבורות ומידו מלך ומלך מימית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ובנאמנת לחיות. If you believe it, you believe it, you can give life to everything, everything. Baruch Atah Adonai, Baruch Atah Adonai מחיה הביתים, מחיה הכל, מחיה הביתים, מחיה הכל. Giving life, giving life. וקדיש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב על יד נביאך. וקרא זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך כל הארץ כבודו אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מדיר שמך בכל הארץ ברוך יבוא אדוני ממקומו אחד הוא אלוהינו רבינו מלכנו מושיענו וישמיענו תרחמיו עיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיך ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה לדור ודור נגיד לך ולנצח נצחים בגשרך נעתיש בשמחך אלוהינו מבינו לא ימוש לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני Ae Akago. Shameru b'nei Yisrael, et Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. Children of Israel shall keep the Shabbos, observing it in every generation. It's a covenant for all time. It's a sign forever between me and the people of Israel for 6 days. The Eternal One made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day, God rested. Vayi nafash, God resouled, God ensouled, God breathed the soul. God resouled, God ensouled, God breathed the soul into creation. God breathed the soul into creation. Vayi nafash. Vayi nafash. Vayi nafash. Is that on? I guess it is.
I hope you're beginning to feel, even in the midst of everything that's going on, a little bit of soul renewal. And when we pray for peace, when we reflect on peace, we know it doesn't mean peace and quiet. We know sometimes peace comes with tumult, comes with stirring things up. It comes, though, only when everyone is a part of the peace that we seek, the wholeness. And so we ask you to bring in all the pieces that you know we need to bring in to make wholeness. All the people that have been left out, all the marginalized. I'm thinking about the children that are in the detention center here where COVID-19 is rampant. And we can't be whole unless we figure out a way to make everyone safe. And the people in the prisons and the people who are in nursing homes, the people who are most vulnerable right now. And the people in the communities of color that we know are most at risk. Although I will tell you that I was at a meeting just yesterday, and there are 2 ministers in the city that have been with their congregations, their black churches, and they've been there for quite a while. And each one of them has a ministry that involves healthy eating. And they both told me that they have no cases of COVID in their communities. That staying healthy, caring for each other, staying safe is really making a difference for all of us. So may we, in the midst of not having such great leadership, in the midst of having leaders who are more interested in self-interest than the common good, let us band together with people who care about life, who choose life, who understand that there is no peace unless all of the pieces come together. And I know we have friends in California, but we also have Miri. Shabbat Shalom from Yerushalayim, Miri. Shabbat Shalom to you in Jerusalem. Miri, who I know bridges many worlds, cares about those who have been marginalized, longtime feminist in that land, a longtime friend of people on all sides of the Green Line. So let us, with all of our hearts, pray for a peace that includes all of the pieces, that dares to make a table that's big enough for everyone. Are you ready, Jim, to pray for peace? To lead us in a prayer for shalom, for shleimut, for wholeness within ourselves, that we can share with others in meaningful ways.
Sim shalom tova uvracha, goodness and blessing. Sim shalom, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim v'rachamim, rachmanos, pure giving, rachamim, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, over us, over everybody. Sim shalom tova uvaracha, goodness and blessing, rachmanos, chen v'chesed, pure giving, rachmanos. Sim shalom tova uvaracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, ורחמים עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, אמן. שים שלום, טובה, goodness, ברכה, blessing, חן, חסד, giving, mercy, רחמים, 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 רחמונס, pure, yes, rachmanos, without restraint, rachmanos, without restraint. Sim shalom tova uvracha, oh yes, complete and yes, no hesitation, yes, no withholding, yes, yes, yes. Yes, sim shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Susie, v'al Jimmy, v'al the family that's passing on the sidewalk now. Ooh, with their children and their doggies and their bottles of water, amen. And the birdies, Sim shalom b'meroma, yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amin, yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh. Or in D minor, birdies. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Huh? Ve'al kol. You want me to read? Sure.
Okay. Say something about the Torah portion.
Good. I'll read a poem. Oh, we're going to read from the book, from our holy book. We're going to read Shalach Lecha. Oh, yes, we are. I'm going to make a prayer for my students first. Oh, thank you, students, for the simple lessons, the ones that require practice and more practice, especially the ones without thinking, like music, the works of the hands, repetition, Mishnah. Thank you for the gift of repetition and to be passing the skill, making practice glorious. Oh, practice. How I love the release from thought, each moment in teaching and learning, a respite from thinking about the crooks, phonies, and mountebanks in control of our country. How much better your little faces are on my screen as I sit here and give over something I have, you do not. Without thinking, we are liberating each other to storm the gates of incompetence that are sturdy in our time. I mean, oh, today, oh my God, hallelujah. Amen.
Amen. Amen. We know that the Torah portion this week takes us to the edge of the land. We've been wandering for 2 years, and we come to the edge of the land, and Moses knows enough to send the spies, the scouts, into the land, 12 of them. And they're not just anyone, they are the heads of the tribes. I mean, they're leaders.
10 of them were full of it.
10 of them were full of it. I'm not sure. You know, I wonder about that. I wonder if we really weren't ready. And maybe they were right. You know, Joshua and Caleb, maybe they were they were ready. Maybe they were more formed, but I don't think we were ready after just 2 years to go into the land. I'm not sure we're ready now.
The truth was a minority opinion. And one of them, of the two, went and sat flat out at the side of the ancestor's grave.
They did.
And laid flat on that grave for as long as it took for him to see into the future. And he ascended to the top of the chariot of Ezekiel. It was covered with the dew of light. And from there he saw and understood everything. But who believed him?
But they weren't ready. They weren't ready. They weren't formed. They hadn't done their work. He had done his work. He was willing to lay on the grave.
He laid flat out on the grave of his ancestors and communed there until he received the message.
This is actually a real story in the city of Svat. Don't
say
say too much.
You can say too much.
You can. We can. So we love having you here with us. We've lived in this home for over 30 years. You know that? Over 30 years.
Yeah.
33, actually.
We have no last names, by the way.
Just Susie and Jimmy.
No, just Susie and Jimmy.
But we love having you here. We're on our front porch.
Let me read from the Holy Book.
And we're going to let's say a few blessings.
Absolutely.
So we're going to ask everyone to join us with the blessings, and we'll read from this week's portion a little bit.
As we always proceed the blessing with, please dance. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch
Baruch
Adonai
Eloheinu
Eloheinu
melech
melech
haolam
haolam.
asher
Bachar
bachar
banu
banu
mikol
mikol
ha'amim.
ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai
Notein
HaTorah.
Amen. Do you mind if I read them after about the blue? I love the blue.
Yeah, read
It's my
about the
favorite
blue.
part.
Miri, do you remember when you took us? You took us to that kibbutz on the shores of the sea, just north of Caesarea. Maybe it was
By that,
yeah,
where we were staying. What's the name of that?
Magan Michael, maybe. And we met the man who actually found the mollusk, and he was making the blue in the same way.
Deceased mollusk carried it into the deep, where
Right.
it gave birth and salt to
It
the
was
sea.
the blue. It was that
Mystery blue. The blue
Yeah.
comes up once every 70 years.
Yes.
Nowadays, the blue is hidden.
It is hidden.
Remember?
So
And then
much
Susie
is
and I, then we went to the Miyun, and we saw Rambam. We saw Rambam with his hair up on his head and a little bun on top and those jinglies around his wrists. That was the Rambam for sure. That was the night, and we saw on the way back, I got to explain to Miri what I'm feeling all right, not feeling too good myself. Which one, she asked. Are you feeling all right or not too good yourself? I said, both.
So let's read about the Techelet.
That's yes,
the blue,
so the mystery
the
blue.
The mystery blue. And yes, there's a place in Israel that you can go visit where they believe they have found the blue.
Nowadays, however, the blue is hidden.
It has to be still hidden.
But it comes up once every 70 years, so the blue is rare and beautiful, and to look at it opens up worlds. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, speak to Israel and say to them, ויעשו להם ציצית, make yourself fringes על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם on your garments for the generations, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. And make sure you make a nice thread of blue, a nice fringe of blue out of the patil of the thread, a nice merchandise. Techelet of the mystery blue. V'haya lachem letzitzit v'ritem oto. And you will look at that blue and the tzitzit and oto and remember zchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, and remember all the mitzvahs of God. V'yasitem otam, and do them. Don't forget that part. V'lo taturu. And you won't go astray. Acharei levavachem, acharei einechem, asher atem zonim achareihem. And you won't go after worthless and silly, frivolous things. You won't be distracted by externals. Rescue us from the externals. Leman tizkaru, in order that you should remember, v'rasitem et kol mitzvotai, and do all my mitzvahs, v'yizem kedoshim, and you shall be holy. Le'elohechem, to your God. Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am God, I'm yours. Asher hotzeiti echem me'eretz Mitzrayim, who brought you out of the land of the squeeze, the squeeze. Lihiot lachem, Elohim, to be for you, God. Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am your God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Amen.
And Amisha Berach, a healing prayer, and I know we've been asked to pray for lots of people. If you have a name that you want to put up, we're happy to add. We have Susan Schroeder, Ron Fagerstrom, and Finn Naylor, Artie Silverblatt, Wanda Stutz-Rhine, Debbie Dwyer, Meredith Pritchard, Elaine Thornton, Rick Hack, Gail Rott, Deb Montford, we hope you're doing better. Huey Powell, you should be healing from your new kidney. Specialist Evan Richard, praying that you are safe in your deployment. Morris Tamsky, Carrie Schulman, Carolyn Harvath, and Gail Hollyfield. 4. Pearl Bat Etel Bat Perel and Bat Perel Ruchel Bat Rezel Chaya, Sarah Bat Rivka, Simcha Bat Golda, Yida Bat Yida Akiva, Caleb Ben Miriam Chaim, Menachem Ben Leah, Dov Ben Esther, Jean Katz, and Chaya Bat Golda. For all of these, for anyone that you hold in your heart, we know that sometimes healing prayers don't work physically, but we pray that somehow they always bring healing to the spirit. And if we don't ask for it, we don't get it. So shout out to the universe for all of those people, for Susan Schifrin, for all those people that we know are suffering from COVID, for all of those people that are hurting from the terrible disease, virus of racism that makes health disparities so awful. For Paul Yortree, and of course for those who are most at risk from this virus, this pandemic throughout the world, those who suffer from hunger and homelessness. Please, please bring healing and help us be healers. So we offer this Misha Berach.
רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף. For the healing of the spirit, the healing of the body, for the healing of the spirit and the healing of the body, for those we know, for those we don't know. For those we know, for those we don't know. On my right, the angel Michael, on my left, the angel Gabriel, in front of me, the angel Uriel, behind me, the angel Raphael, and above my head, 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 Shekhinah, Shekhinah. Michael, who is like God, Gabriel, God is my strength. Uriel, Uriel, God is my light. Raphael, God is my healer. Above my head, above my head, above my head. Shekhinah, Shekhinah. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, great healer. Amen, amen, amen.
Special shout out to my friend Amit. Should have a refuah shlema as well. And I see that Eileen is praying for Jane. So let's all say with all of our hearts, Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, God. Help us, help us, help us to be part of the healing that we seek. Amen. And the words of the Elena. One of the other teachings in this portion is when it says Shalach Lecha. It's of course Moses sending the people, but what does it say Shalach Lecha? What does that mean? Shalach Lecha. Go to yourself. Go to yourself. I think that's where all of this begins. It all
Send
begins.
you, send him, send her, send me.
Yeah, send me.
Send me.
Send me. Send me. Actually, maybe I will.
There's no just
Yeah,
in the expression just show up.
that's right.
There's no just.
So,
Show up.
just show up. I
It's
grabbed
major
this.
mitzvah.
I did grab this, and maybe I'll share this really
Send him,
briefly.
send her, send who, send me.
Send me. So, during the Ferguson uprising, my friend Sarah and I came up with 10 rules for engagement for white Jews joining in the Black Lives Matter movement. And I won't go through the whole thing. It is online. It was published again 6 years ago when we first began Black Lives Matter, but I'll just read the ones that are about showing up. There's 10 of them. I won't again read the explanations, but the first one is show up. Show up. Show up. Number 1. Number 2, practice deep listening and less talking. Number 3, do your own internal community's work, and I think we're finally seeing that that's happening. White people are finally starting to look at, what's our role in this white supremacy, and how do we use, how do we let go of that privilege and make things more. Explode the myth that all Jews are white. We know that at least 11% of us are not just Jews of color, like Sephardic Jews, like me. We're white in this country, but they're black Jews. 11% of us are black and brown, and live in black and brown bodies that have the same kind of stress and the same kind of profiling. Live with the same kind of thing that all black and brown people. Judaism doesn't give them any special privilege. It should. I wish it would. But no, 11% of us are black, so it's not them. It's not Jews and blacks. It's blacks are Jews. Find your Ferguson, we said. And I think a lot of people are finding their Ferguson. Number 6, hold yourself accountable. What is your role in this? Shalach lecha. Hold the police accountable. Please. The statement that the St. Louis Rabbinical Association put out was very much lacking, I thought, because it didn't mention police accountability. Somehow Jews are afraid to talk about police accountability. I think we need to. It's part of the message today. Lobby for policy change. Protest, profiling, and policy change. Use your privilege to amplify the voices of those who have less, whoever they are. And finally, number 10, go outside of your comfort zone while staying in your lane. Find your lane and make sure that you go outside of your comfort zone. To number 1, show up. So we promise to take upon us all of these challenges as we turn to the words of the Aleinu. Aleinu, we take upon us these challenges. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol. We're facing towards you, Miri, in Jerusalem. Latet gedula liotzer bereshit shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kachem vegor aleinu k'chol hamonam ve'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים למלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. And finally, at the end of every service, we remember those who have gone before, those upon whose shoulders we stand, those who gave our lives so much meaning, those who are hard to live without, but here we are, trying to respond in the holiest of ways. So let us remember, I don't have the yard sites of this time, but I do know that we just passed the yard site of Howard Canefield, the first anniversary of his death. I look at some of the names from this past year, that we have lost. Ignatius LaRocca, who is the grandfather of our own Angela, who she and Ben had a baby this week, little Olsen. So we know that, we continue. Oh boy, there's a lot of names here from our new friend Joy. I'm going to read them. Second yahrzeit for Charles Krauthammer, of blessed memory, Yisrael ben Shlomo, Shalom, Vitova, Matiel, brother-in-law. Fourth yahrzeit, yesterday, 27th of Sivan, for best friend since the 60s, Suzanne Roth, of blessed memory, Sarah Rochel, Bat Yisrael Befredel. The funeral was yesterday for B'nai Horin. Friend Leslie Goldman, I saw you referred to her. She would have loved the trees, you said. May her memory be a blessing. Eliezer ben Rav Shlomo, the enchanted gardener. We love the gardeners. And Bobby, for your cousin Elliot, Laura, Frauenglass. We also have, of course, George Lamb. We're still saying Kaddish for almost a year. Rhea Davison, almost a year. Naomi Taub, almost a year. Linda Barton, Louise Mandel, Ralph Schauer, Sandy Jaffe, Rita Balk, Judy Jones, Sherman Stiefelman, Carol Gerstein, Jude, Eli, Anton McCarty, little baby. Yvonne Emmanuel, Suzanne Glazer, Pat Dewey, Dr. Melvin Lester, Julie Eichen, Tom Trieger, Eric Corson, young man, Monty Ross, Debbie Siegel, Claire Hyman, John Kepler, Bonnie Hunman, Alan Goldman, Betty Gershman, Sandra Stone Feinstein, Jimmy's aunt, Don Holtzman, Jackie Poltman, Lou Osheroff, Aaliyah Light, Bonnie Levins, Claire Kroll, Shirley Sewell, Elliot, Bobby thanks Elliot Frauenglass, Lily Aviva Atkinson, Lillian Eichen, Gil Nussbaum, Clarence Shelley, Molly Froelikstein, Ann Schifrin, Fran Hyman, Marvin Koski, Jan Nelson, Irv Satanovsky, if Lisa's listening, Byron Wexler, and I believe there are some new names that were sent to us. Charlotte Futterman, Ellen's mother, Kent Huffman, and Norman Roth, someone many people know. For all the people who have died at this time, certainly for those who have died at the hands of police violence, those who have died because of racism, and those who are dying from COVID-19. And, we remember all of them. May their memories be a blessing as we say the words of the Kaddish. Those who died, I think about the 11, there were 10 million people taken from Africa on the slave ships. Most of them didn't make it to this country, but we think about all of those who died because people thought they could own other people. So the words of the Kaddish challenge us to celebrate life, to live more fully, with more intention, and to love more fiercely because of those we have loved and lost. It ends with a prayer for peace. So we invite you to say with us these words. Yitkadav v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'almad zivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayedachon v'Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yesh Shmei Rabbah mevarach v'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramon v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal Shmei d'kodesha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechmata ta'amiran be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mulav Uli Aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imru.
Amen.
May the source of peace bring peace to your hearts and your souls, especially those of you who are ill.
Ve'imru, ve'imru, ve'imru. Amen. Ve'imru, ve'imru, ve'imru. Olam Hashem alach b'terem kol tzir divra v'itnasa v'chepso kol azar melech shemo nikra.
I hope you're breathing with us.
Anana, 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 Yachare kichalot hakol levado yimloch nora vehu haya vehu yeh b'tzivara anana na 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 na. ואחד אין שני להמשיך לו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה. אננה 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 na 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 na. Oy liebe chag o liebe zur chebli beitzara veunisi umanos li menakosi beyom echra. Anana Yadom Avki Ruchi Ve'eti Sham Ve'ahira Ve'im Ruchi Yeviati Adonai Li Ve'lo Ira. God is with me, I shall not fear. Na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah na 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 na. Ah
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We hope it's a day of wholeness, of peace. I know that there are many protests. There's one in U City today, for those of you who are in St. Louis, where people are going to, it's not a real Shabbos thing to do, but people are going to be in their cars to keep it safe and just kind of drive through and bear witness to the work that we're all doing to make sure that Black Lives Matter, to make sure that we use everything that we can to keep this going. As we've been praying together, I've been looking at, our grandson slept over last night and he made a map. And the map is, I'm looking at it now, it's made out of different colors, chalk. And the map actually takes you to the bad witch germ, so that you can talk the bad witch germ into becoming a good witch and get rid of the germ. So may all the germs that are keeping us from being our best selves, being together, go soon. We leave you with a blessing. Hold each other if you're together. Hold yourself. Shalach echad, go to yourself. As we say, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and guard you and keep you safe on your journey. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light flow through you and show you grace and mercy. Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yasemecha shalom. May God's presence truly be with you and all the people you love. Keep them safe and give you peace. Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And if you want to meet us again, we'll be back at 8 o'clock tonight for Havdalah Central Time. Shabbat Shalom.